Hey guys, and welcome to this battle between Consul of Rome, leading the forces of the High Elves, up against Hberg 123 and the Children of the Old Ones, the mighty and glorious Lizardmen. So let's get into this. Now, I thought it'd be quite a fun build to show from the High Elf player here, as I think it's a relatively straightforward but effective build, which a lot of new players could bring in this matchup if they do tend to struggle up against the forces of the Lizardmen. Now, for the front line, he does have some stalwart spearmen, including a couple of units on the flanks, and in the centre pocket he has the Silvering Guard, who have been slightly altered, a tiny points increase and changed some of their stats, but they're still incredibly powerful overall. But just two of these guys in the centre pocket, not going too ham with them, and then basic more cheap spearmen on the flanks, and one unit in reserve as well for a bit of back line protection. In the deep reserve, we have the Fireborn as well. Regiment of renowned dragon princes. These guys look absolutely glorious in their regal red here and their flaming swords, or lances, sorry. Can certainly do some decent damage. They do have that nice anti-large bonus as well, so they can pin in those big, nasty dinosaurs and run over skinks and Sauros very effectively. But the key to this build is in the remaining units here. We have triple Sisters of Avalon, one of them being the Everqueen's Court Guard themselves. Now, the Sisters of Avalon, pretty good all-round troops, ridiculously long-range missile damage overall, but they can fight okay in combat as well, and they're all going to be buffed up by this handmaiden of the Everqueen standing in the centre pocket here. She is going to be bringing the enchanted spyglass plus 10% base missile damage, as well as Horn of Isha, increasing their reload skill and their melee prowess, and plus quick silver shot as well. So overall, a nice little fire base, and when you combine this with Teclis, the mighty mage, who is coming with regrowth, of course, his potion and sword, as well as a net, what you do is you simply net down the enemy and then blitz them with these triple souped up Sisters of Avalon and do a disgusting amount of damage. It's very good at taking down Temple Guard, elite troops, characters, dinosaurs, all of that big stuff. But you are a little bit flimsy in the front line, so Spearmen are going to have to hold while those Sisters really rake up the damage output. Now, for the Force of Lizardmen, this is another build I quite like for the most part. Going very wide against High Elves is always very effective. So it's got skink cohorts on either flank to help push around the sides, as well as a nice healthy core of Saurus warriors in the centre pocket, including some spearmen as well. So really nice, well-balanced build so far. Good at wrapping around those High Elf forces, and Saurus will beat Silvering Guard and Spearmen. Silvering Guard, it takes them a very long time, but Spearmen, they chew through pretty damn effectively. He does have a Skink Priest of Beasts coming with those Manticore summon. Not bad at all. I think I prefer the Heavens Caster here for that Wind Blast, but still not too bad of a pick. Looks like he also has Lord Mazdamundi as well, coming in with Ruination of Cities as well as his Banishment, Shield of the Old Ones, Arcane Unforging, which I'm not the biggest fan of here, but still it can do decent work, Apotheosis, and Net of Amantok himself. He also up front has a Stegodon here, coming in with its giant crossbow, as well as a Bastiladon with solar engine. So we're going to be trying to outshoot the High Elf forces, which they're certainly going to have a tough time doing up against triple Sisters. I've just seen these poor skinks having a really terrible view of the battlefield here. And it looks like he does have one of my favourite units, the Umbral Tide. However, this is one matchup I don't think they're particularly potent in, because there's so much kind of key targets you want to take out of these guys, which have fire resistance as far as dragon princes, dragons, and all that nasty stuff. So I don't think they're the best pick here. Probably would have preferred to see some Razordons for that armor piercing, but overall, I can never be too mad when you see the Umbral Tide. And at the same time, they do still have Stalk, so they can get nice and close to the enemy and blitz down these tightly packed formations. So it'd be interesting to see how they perform. But the battle is underway, and Gary the Bastiladon firing a nice arcing shot into the Everqueen's Court Guard, which is the target you expect. It looks like the Bastiladon's giant crossbow is going after the Fireborn here, as he doesn't have too many answers to deal with pesky dragon princes and the like, so I do quite like that idea right there. Then we do have a Net of Amantok going down on the solar engine, and you can see the disgusting amount of damage coming in here. Apotheosis and Shield of the Old One's going to be healing him up and giving him a bit of protection, but despite that, he is taking a disgusting amount of work. The Umbral Tide need to make use of this time and push forward and hop on top of these Sisters to take them down, but it looks like they are focusing down the Silvering Guard, and they're doing some really nice burst damage to them as well, so all is not lost so far. Gary is answering fire a little bit here, but you can see he's been decimated in a matter of seconds despite the magic used to try and protect him, and he is certainly going to be running for the hills, so he may be able to turn around and come back to the fray if he's not finished off. However, Silvering Guard getting close to about half health here, but the Umbral Tide now taking one or two volleys and thinking, you know what, we're out of here, guys. That is far too much damage for us, and a Manticore Summon has gone down. So far, good protection and prioritising key targets so far from the High Elves. However, Saurus are starting to wrap around the flanks as well as some skink cohorts and start to push in now. There's only one unit of Dragon Princes, so they can only be so many places at one time. They finished off some skink cohorts on the right-hand side, but the left-hand side is now certainly going to be open to some pressure. That poor Feral Manticore got absolutely annihilated on the way in, did rampage and has poured itself down into Silver and Guard, which is not a good place for it to be. A Ruination of Cities does come down. Unfortunately, it's still bugged. This, I believe, was played on the live patch rather than the beta, finishing off some Sisters of Avalon, but not doing any crazy damage. They do now start to focus down Lord Mazdamundi, who got a little bit too close for comfort here, and he's a thick boy, but despite this, his health is getting absolutely nuked here. The Apotheosis has popped in retaliation, as well as a banishment to force those Sisters of Avalon to stop shooting, at least for the time being. Now, Skinks are slowly forcing their way into the back line on top of the Sisters, and Saurus are comfortably winning this front line. And this is going to be a big problem the longer the game goes on for the forces of the High Elves, as their spearmen will be dragged down. It looks like the Fireborn did manage to win that flank engagement, but they have been taking shots this entire time from this mighty Stegodon. Up to 23 kills on the Fireborn. It is very impressive stuff overall. These guys are down to about half model count. Ambrotide once again shooting, doing some nice burst damage, but they have been net of Amtok down, and now the focus fire is really going to start to pay dividends, and you can see the poor Fire Doggos get absolutely annihilated. A ton of magical arrows in these poor boys, and down they go. The unit completely wiped from the battlefield, which is something that's going to go down in my Lizardman Book of Grudges. So it looks like the Stegodon is unfortunately going to have a bit of a nasty time with the Fireborn here. Of course, do have that anti-large. They're still not the greatest at taking down the big beasties, as they do lack a certain amount of AP. But, you know, still, they're going to come in here and will slowly be able to drag him down. A net has gone down on them, however, going to allow time for some other units to catch up as well. Now, the High Elves are holding pretty damn firm for a considerable amount of time, mainly due to the Silver and Guard, and it's not looking too bad here. However, the Everqueen's Court Guard are slowly running out of ammunition, as they do waste a couple of shots into Saurus Warriors, which aren't really too big a key target. They want to focus down that Stegodon, Mazdamundi, and the like, but still, it does help protect the front line, as the Lizardmen advance does start to falter. However, double Saurus Warriors on this left-hand flank, very healthy, going to be an absolute menace to deal with, and it looks like there is just Spearmen left. One unit of Silver and Guard who are incredibly beat up, and Saurus will munch those guys down for days. Stegodon is getting healed up here slightly and is able to terrify those Fireborn. I do not blame them. They may be the elite of the elite. When a giant dinosaur is running towards you, you run away screaming. This guy's going to be falling back here, taking a few shots as well from Gary, but of course he does fire damage, and these guys do come in with that fire resistance. So Bastillon is going to be lining up another shot here. Unfortunately, the Stegodon is taking a few shots, but Shield of the Old One's going to be keeping him relatively active here. And the Sisters of Avalon can fight okay in melee, but at the same time, their main damage output, of course, is their missiles, and they're starting to run out. Saurus Warriors are engaging the Everqueen's Court Guard, and they should be able to win that engagement despite these guys' okay melee stats. Spearmen are coming in for a nice flank as well. Realistically, they need to push all the way around here and push into the back line, get a nice rear charge. There's some Saurus Warriors and more Skinks as well, which may have been able to stop that regardless. Another lovely use of the net, pinning in the Stegodon, but you can see how slowly they're taking down such a target as the Stegodon compared to the Bastillodon they did early on, simply due to the lack of models they have now, and that's only 2 units firing instead of 3. Still though, decent damage output in this late game, pulling apart that Stegodon who is going to be running for the hills, and the Skink Priest looks like he may be the next target. Gary getting in some lovely shots, and this is the difference between single entity monsters or firing platforms like this compared to a unit like the Sisters of Avalon. These guys are incredibly beat up, they've lost a lot of models, so their damage output is reduced significantly. However, someone like Gary here, despite the fact he's down to 763 hit points, still has his full range of damage output, meaning he can still, you know, pack an absolute punch. However, it looks like him and the Stegodon are being pushed back, and Lord Mazdamundi currently running away from Teclis, which is a pretty funny position to be in. These Fireborn need to get moving to come over here and help clear up these units. Don't want any of them coming back to the fray. Now, a Feral Manticore has been summoned, pushing the balance power in favour of the Lizardmen, and they are slowly starting to grind this one out. Saurus Warriors are pushing through the Everqueen's Court Guard, and more Saurus Warriors just for days all around the battlefield are really putting in that solid work, hunting down these Spearmen, who will hold for an okay amount of time. As you can see, they're kind of getting clubbed apart here a little bit by the swinging maces and stone swords of the Saurus Warriors. Over here, Saurus Spearman will still win up against High Elf Spearman, despite the fact that, it's going to be a little bit of a damp new contest. Feral Manticore as well, up to no good, hunting down Sister Avalon, terrifying away. Probably wants to focus down on some of these characters, Handmaiden of the Everqueen, or Teclis, who is slowly chasing that Salon booty, trying to keep up with him as much as possible. I mean, Lord Masamidi hits pretty damn hard when he does connect with his 360 weapon strength. Teclis as well, taking a bolt to the face, but it looks like a massive bit of friendly fire as well onto Lord Mazdamundi, who may actually run out because of that, which is a bit of a disaster. Looks like Teclis is going to be getting a fat regrowth and a cold-blooded pop down on Lord Mazdamundi, just to try and keep him active as his skink cohorts and Saurus warriors do come to try and aid him. The Shield of the Old Ones going down as well. So it looks like the Ceylon was allowed to rally here. The Fireborn are in hot pursuit, however, and they should be able to drag him down relatively effectively. He needs to get off the return charge to try and break these guys. But it looks like he might not be paying attention here, and he's just waddling forward a little bit here. And then come the Fireborn. Yeah, they're going to crump that Ceylon incredibly quickly, and it does in fact shatter completely. So very close game. Balance power has been dragged back even now that that Manticore has gone. But there is a ton of Saurus Warriors, two very healthy units, at least considering how late in the game it is, are going to be rallying in, and they will crump these Spearmen and Handmaiden relatively effectively. So Avalon once again back online, only 2 volleys left, however. Lord Mazdamundi trying to do his jukes where possible. Looks like he may get netted down here. It's probably worth waiting on the ammunition until the net has gone down, just to ensure all hits are made. Lord Mazdamundi, 640 health, another volley coming in, 500, but there's so little of these ladies left, it looks like they're not going to be able to bring down the mighty Mazdamundi himself. A nice banishment come down as well, forcing the Fireball out, but good micromanage by Consul of Rome, pulling those guys up and around before charging into glorious combat. Really wants to finish off Mazdamundi here, who is back up to 830 health here, doing a lot of healing during this game, and he's kind of committed to this fight here. Saurus Warriors and especially the Saurus Spearmen here are going to be fantastic at dragging down the heavily armoured princes here down into the dirt for stomping on them with scaled feet. And yeah, unfortunately, it looks like the Fireborn are going to be completely going here, down to 192 health. Yeah, these guys, unfortunately, going to be dragged down into the dirt, and the remaining few do shatter from the field, embarrassing the good name of the High Elves as they flee before the might of the Old Ones. Now, Teclis is very healthy, and it looks like the Handmaiden has been forced off, however. Spearman as well starting to waver. I know Handmaiden is still active, and perhaps if she can go back-to-back with Teclis and snipe out the nasty Lord Mazdamundi, victory still could be had. Looks like we have 20 Silver and Guard coming back in, who will certainly pack a punch. Teclis are desperately trying to snipe out Lord Mazdamundi here, but that is a ton of Saurus Warriors. I think it's going to be pretty damn tough to win this, even if Mazdamundi does go down here. So Spearman and Silver and Guard slowly being dragged down by Saurus Warriors, and it looks like we are coming together for the final engagement. I know Teclis is deciding to hunt down Lord Mazdamundi, and in fact does manage to get him despite that Shield of the Old Ones due to a lovely net of Amtok, keeping those Saurus Spears away from protecting Mazdamundi. But it looks like the Handmaiden of Everqueen has gone down here, so I believe this was on ladder, so we're not playing tournament rules or anything. If this was tournament rules, of course Teclis would have to engage now, as he's the only unit standing, but to be honest, because it's on ladder, it's kind of the Wild West. He can keep trying to juke and dive, and perhaps get the Handmaiden of the Everqueen to come back. It looks like she has indeed come back, so they're going to be standing together here, fighting to the bitter death, but that is just far, far too many Saurus Warriors. It looks like they managed to break some of the weaker ones. And they're going after the Skink Priest, which isn't a bad idea. We can go in and get some nice cinematics as this battle does close out here. But there is far, far too many Saurus Warriors. And these guys, one of the best infantry units in the game for their cost. They're so goddamn powerful. They can even go toe-to-toe, with characters. And yes, these guys are more kind of a range hybrid weapon specialist and a wizard. But despite that, they can normally put up quite a big punch this late into the game against beat-up kind of mid-tier infantry. But the Saurus, coated in blood, are victorious. So a valiant defeat there. So massive shout out to Consul Rome for sending in this replay. It's been a super fun one to cast, and well played to his opponent as well. I hope you guys enjoyed. Now, for the builds, pretty interesting stuff overall. I think this is a kind of a typical high elf build. I think it's done very well, and just didn't quite have enough punch at the end to drag down the Lizardmen. So against a big dino rush, which you can often expect, high elves, despite the fact they have so many anti-large options, can really struggle sometimes at taking down the big beasties. So triple sisters, as well as Teclis and the Nets, plus the Handmaiden to buff them up, makes for a disgustingly deadly combination. And certainly, dragged down a lot of these units and did some big damage across the board. But one thing you can do to counter this if you are the Lizardmen is go very wide and wrap around those forces. So there's a little bit of a dice roll here in kind of the styles of play, and I think it certainly did favour the Lizardmen. A few little mistakes as well, I think, on his half, allowing a few of his units to get killed, but despite that, managed to drag his way to glorious victory. So I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, please consider giving me a big old subscribe and thumbs up to spread the love. It super helps out, and we're right on kicking on the door for 700 subs, which is some pretty glorious stuff. Now, if you want to send replays in to me, please do it via my Discord. There's a link just down below in the description. I've had a few emails recently, but unfortunately the way Hotmail works, it sees someone trying to send me a load of attachments from someone I don't know. It just goes into my junk, and I never end up seeing it until it kind of way later down the line. So if you do want to get in touch with me and playing part in tournaments, King of the Hills, send replays, please do it via Discord, link just down below. Anyway guys, until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.